We've reached our destination.
We have. We have indeed reached our destination. Looks like our meal is still going strong. Still going a-okay. Yeah, so Hidden Wharf. So this is the way, to the Lord.
Dead end?
No, there's an elevator. It looks operational.
Yeah, now it's operational. It wasn't operational before. We're gonna go to No Man's Wharf. Oh? That's just a freaking straight up battleship looking thing.
I can't believe there's actually an underground harbor here.
Yeah, what is this? More
I
Ardain?
only see Danans. Think they were forced to work here?
Probably. Let's see what they have to share about Almadria.
Maybe back to you guys in a long while. If it ain't one of the bright eyes, busted my chops on deck and another busted my chops on the dock. Speaking of which, did you hear? They say that cargo might contain stolen goods, what someone smuggled from outside the realm. Yeah, that fruit. Oh yeah, I heard it doesn't concern us what's inside. Our job is to process and move on. Well, yeah, I hear you. We got enough to worry about with how heavy it's gonna be to haul it around. That's straight up a battleship. I've sunk your battleship. Yoink, mackerel. Every time I see mackerel, I'm always gonna now think of Mario plus Rabbids. That one weapon name that Peach can have that's painted like a fish and the name of the weapon is Smackerel. I'm always gonna think about that. So is this the Lord's ship? Or was the Lord's ship here and it already set out? Oh, we're gonna take this battleship and go out there. Guess we'll find out.
You didn't happen to see a lord come by, did you?
Sorry, friend, but she just left. Came by with a whole posse of underlings, boarded her
Okay,
ship,
that is what
and
happened
took
then.
off at first wind. And we damn near got blown away. She was that much in a hurry.
Damn! So we missed her!
Law's the new Carol.
You guys trying to go after her? Need a ride?
I've been itching to get out here anyway.
Spent most of my life chained to the deck of some ship or other. Yeah, I know my jib from
I'm just so bored. You want a lift?
Better you give us the boat and stay on solid ground.
Whoa there. You been out on the water before? The sea ain't nobody's friend, you know. You need a sea dog like me or you'll sink her before she makes it out the harbor.
We're losing time. Sir, we're in your debt.
Now that's more like it. Name's Mahavar. Just give me a holler when you're all set and we'll set sail.
Just like animation at the end there for a laugh that didn't come out. Yeah, I was already planning on saving into a second slot when we got out there. It is something that I was planning on doing. But I guess it is technically more satisfying if, like, the main thing that we're making progress on is slot 1, and something like slot 2 is the backup than the other way around. So I guess I'll do that. It's Boat Guy. Ready to go? Like, he doesn't even express his motivations for wanting to go. I guess he's just bored out of his mind. Like, she was off in a hurry. You guys want to go after it? You want a lift? I got a boat right here. I'm just so bored. Golly, it sure is boring around here. All right, hold on tight, because it's gonna get bumpy. Let me show you the faces of evil. A real boat doesn't accelerate that fast. What?
This is like a dream come true.
Why did it start fading and then it changed its mind and then it came into the cutscene? Nice.
Never would have thought I'd get a chance like this. Thank you, y'all.
He really was bored.
Pleasure's all ours. Think we'll catch up to her?
Of course we will. They got too much weight on them. Meanwhile, this ship's carrying nothing but us salty scalawags. They got a good head start on us, but we can take them.
Do you know if there are any Danans on that ship?
Couldn't say for sure. On the one hand, seeing as it's supposed to be something of another castle, I'd reckon they probably wouldn't let a bunch of Danans on board. On the other hand, I'd be real surprised if the Renans were able to pilot that thing all by themselves. In any case, it's gonna be a while before we reach her. Until then, you're all free to do whatever. Just don't fall in the ocean.
Can I fall in the ocean? Your party disbanded. Okay, one of those sequences where we check in on other party members.
We'll have to do on this boat. I guess I'll check in on everyone and see how they're holding up.
Wow, the music's a little bit louder than his voice. Man, I can't jump overboard. I wish I could jump in the ocean. Hello, hello, Twitch.
You.
Any artist who'd see fit to paint me needs their eyes tested.
What can you tell me about Almadria?
Not as much as you'd probably wish. I only ended up crossing paths with her a handful of times, after I was chosen to be a lord on Lenegus.
Ah, right. I almost forgot about Lenegus. How much do you think they know about what's been going on down here?
It's safe to assume they know everything, though I know not why they choose to remain uninvolved. Perhaps they see what's been happening as just part of the ongoing crown contest.
Even what Almadria did? Has it really reached the point where her actions are seen as normal?
Not to my knowledge, no. At its core, the crown contest is a competition to see who can amass the most astral energy. And to amass such energy, slaves are needed to collect it from. It's therefore against the Lord's interest to kill them.
So then why would Almadria do something like that?
We must remember that time is running out in the crown contest. Perhaps her hand was forced, so to speak. It is a way to accrue astral energy faster and in larger quantities than through slave labor. Doing so kills off that labor force, obviously, but it is a means to an end nonetheless. No one could have foreseen that something like the Hollowing would arise back when the contest was first conceived.
Arise, that's the name of the game.
Is becoming the Sovereign of Rena really
It's
that
one of the-
important to the Lords?
One of those instances where a game
course.
uses its game name.
It's the greatest prize one
Although
can
not
attain
at all
in their
symbolically
eyes.
for the game name in this case. That was
In
just a
that respect,
regular use of the word arise.
I'm
But
really not that surprised that Almadria resorted to what she did, as utterly despicable as it is.
It's reassuring to hear you feel the same way I do.
I worry that the only reason I never did anything similar in Menancia was due to my lack of ambition.
If you didn't want to be reminded of your past, you could have just plugged your ears.
You think too highly of me. I'm afraid I must respectfully disagree. I'm not nearly as virtuous of a person as you might wish to believe.
If that's so, would you have been so shaken up when Kisara lost her brother? Why else would you turn your back on your own kind and choose to fight for Miguel's dream? Aren't we just Danans?
A curious choice of words. Did what you see in Mahag Sar hit you that hard?
What Deadheim did to that city, he didn't liberate anyone. Anyone who refused to follow him was an enemy in his eyes. 300 years of Renan rule taught him nothing.
What I have come to understand is that the conflict extends beyond Danan versus Renan. There is an internal quarrel as well. I mean to bring about a true, lasting coexistence in Menancia. But there are more walls we must topple first.
And you don't think you can pull it off?
Well, you seem to think you can, at least.
Does that make us enemies?
Insofar as an exchange of swordplay, no, it doesn't.
Not good enough for you?
Are you really... Forgive me. I will continue to fight by your side a while longer. That much I have decided.
why did he ask, does that make us enemies? All Dohalim was like is like, hey, we just have more walls to tear down. But you don't think that you can do it? Yeah, I don't think that I can. But you seem to think that we can. Does that make us enemies? No, it just means that you're more optimistic about the situation. What do you mean, does that make us enemies? Oh my goodness. Find this entire area hilarious, the silly music playing on this boat, and these serious conversations are going on. But yeah, I'd love how in Xenoblade 2 you could unironically just jump off the Titans and Jin was your best with very funny. I think that Zeke was probably my favorite. I forget exactly what he said when jumping off the edge, but it was something silly.
I took a look around inside the ship just in case, but I didn't find anything that looked like it might be suspicious.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Oh, I should change the look of his
You know,
gauntlets to the new ones.
It wasn't until I left Calaglia that I finally realized just how big the world is.
When we tore down the wall in Calaglia, and I could finally see the horizon in the far-off distance, I had the exact same thought.
Yeah, somehow the sea is different though. I'm not sure just how to put it. It's almost as if it just goes on forever. I bet my
Well,
old
it
man
technically
would be
does if you
blown
count it
away by
looping
this
back
view.
around into itself.
Yeah.
Ever since he died, I've been thinking about what it was that he was really trying to say to me at the end. I keep going over his words again and again. And heck, maybe I'm just overthinking it all. But still, Sometimes I wonder if it could have turned out differently. If there was something I could have done. But no matter how much I play it back, I'm still no closer to finding any answers. And then there's everything with Rinwell. I stopped her from killing Almadria, but was that really the right thing to do? Or did I just end up making things harder for her? I feel like such a screw-up.
You're not the only one. I keep asking myself what Zephyr would have done had he been here. Like, I think, how would Zephyr have handled Rinwell?
Yeah, I think he definitely would have stopped her. No doubt about it.
And that's exactly what you did, Law. I think he'd be really proud of you.
Alphen.
Zephyr's not the worst yardstick to measure ourselves against. Let's both do our best to make him proud.
Sounds like a deal. Thanks, Alphen.
The music does feel a little bit out of place. Is that what Zeke's line was, jumping off the edge? Not again. It was either that or something like really close to that. I just remember Zeke having like my favorite lines in Xenoblade. In Xenoblade Chronicles 2, he was so good. Like I love the DLC with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that crossed over with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and brought in Fiora and Shulk. And I think that my favorite line in probably all of Xenoblade 2, at least my favorite line for Zeke for sure, that's not dangerous at all what that guy's doing, is this bit where after a battle, I believe Fiora says something to him along the lines of, Zeke, I think girls would like you more if you just dropped that strange act already. And Zeke's just like, girls? Pah! Who cares? All the Zekeinator cares about is being the fastest, strongest, bestest, ultimate fighting machine. Nothing more. It's like one of the best freaking lines.
You don't look so good. Are you alright?
Whoa.
The floor.
Why did his voice sound weird at first? Was that just like a wave mixing with it?
How
It
can
sounded
you stand
staticky.
it? How can you even stand?
I'm not the best person to ask about discomfort. I can't feel pain, remember?
I still can't believe what happened in Niez. Even now. As a lord, my expectations for Almadria were already pretty low. But the way she treated human lives like they're mere playthings.
Yeah. And it wasn't as if the situation in Niaz was improving much to begin with.
You mean Deadheim?
The whole reason I started fighting back was because of my anger at the atrocities of Renan rule. Back then, all I had to worry about was fighting the Renans for the sake of the Danans. But then I met Shion and the people of Menancia, and things became a lot more complicated. It's even messier now that we have to worry about Danans like Deadheim.
It used to be that the Danans were the ones in the right, and the Renans were the ones in the wrong. Though, maybe that was just a biased perspective from being on the side of the oppressed.
Now, that's a deep way of looking at it.
I'll never tolerate the Renans ruling over us. But nothing ever ends up being as black and white as you'd expect it to be either. That's clear to me now.
That said, even putting aside bad apples like Deadheim for a moment, you may be able to free the Danan people, but that won't undo 300 years of oppression. It'll be hard for them to not give in to their resentment. I think maybe that's why I clung to our dream so hard back in Menancia.
Even if his motivations weren't pure, Dohalim has a good heart. He didn't sink to the depths Almadria did.
You don't understand. I'm saying that it goes deeper than that. This hierarchy we live in, it's not solely something the Renans invented. I remember a story Rinwell once told me. She said before the Renans invaded, we Danans had our own class system. We are the ones who divided ourselves. I saw it in Deadheim's eyes. He wanted to rule over others.
To hear Bayfon tell it, Deadheim wasn't always that way.
But as time went on, and he and the Darkwings fought the Renans, he eventually changed. I guess what I'm getting at is, if we defeat the Renans but just go back to the way things were before, was there even any point in fighting?
But that world isn't the one you want to create, right?
Maybe not. But to tell you the truth, these days I'm not so sure that dream is even possible.
You have your promise to Megal, though. Your home and the people of Menancia are depending on you.
I know. My brother. He truly believed in his dream of coexistence. And I suppose even now, many people still do. And then, there's you.
Who, me?
You and Shion.
I'm not sure I follow.
Okay, then let me spell it out for you. How many other Renins and Danins do you know that get on as spectacularly as the two of you?
I don't know that I'd say spectacularly.
Well, I suppose it's really all a matter of how you look at it, isn't it?
I really don't see what you're getting.
I think I'm getting seasick again. Sorry. Can you just give me a wide berth for a few minutes?
I'm really glad I don't get seasick. I would need not to get seasick. I have my freaking boating license, so I should hope that I don't get seasick. But yeah, I heard leaks about the new Xenoblade game having Zeke in it. I've heard potential leaks about there being characters from like both Xenoblade 1 and 2. That'd be interesting if it follows up with both of those. We shall see what comes of it. But yeah, I feel like the music really doesn't fit with a lot of this year's conversations going on, but they do bring up some interesting subjects there, like with them talking there being like, yeah, it's not just completely black and white. Like when you have the two sides where it's like one group is the oppressors and one group is the oppressed, it's like, okay, probably still most of the group from the oppressors are kind of gonna be jerks and maybe not the best, and you know, most on the side of the oppressed are just gonna be like the victims and just wanting a better life and such. But you know, there can be people on the side that seems like it's evil who themselves are good people, and there can be people on the side of the victims who themselves are evil people and want to take advantage of things. And I think that that's really interesting. Like, I feel like there's not a whole lot of media that you see delve into that kind of subject. Like, there's, when I think about like other media that I've seen talk about anything like that, I can only think of like one movie from my own memory, at least. For anybody that hasn't seen the movie Django, would highly recommend. Such a good movie. Freaking love that movie right there. It's probably on Netflix if anyone wants to check it out, and it kind of talks about that a little bit. But that's like part of the subject of it as well. This one isn't one of the panels. It's like a full-on cutscene, I guess, because Rinwell's like pissed and racist and conflicted. It's such.
Do you think Law is okay?
If you're worried, why don't you ask him yourself?
Yeah. I think maybe I should apologize to him too. I should apologize to all of you, really.
Us too?
Well, I was kinda lying to you all this whole time. I was blind to everything except my own revenge. I never even considered the struggles all of you might be facing.
We all have things we'd prefer to keep to ourselves, Rinwell. So what if you had something to hide? It doesn't undo the good that you've done, or the people that you've helped save along the way.
But that's not what I mean.
I know. You're talking about Almadria, right?
Yeah. I hate her, Alphen. I can't stop hating her. Even just thinking about her makes my head feel like it's going to explode. But it's not just her. I think about the way Law looked at me. I hated the Lord who killed my parents. And I hated the Renins I had to travel alongside. And yet, Cislodius Danins backstab each other like it's a normal way of life. And Mahag Sar has people like Deadeye. But then there are people like Law and Shion. It's all just too much. I don't know what to think anymore.
Law never said that you had to forgive Almadria. It's only natural you would hate your family's murderer. But
what?
Law left home because of how much he hated his father. As a result of that, well, I think Law spent a lot of time thinking about how they never got to make things right. And if I had to guess, killing Ganabel didn't make any of those feelings go away. Law let revenge fuel him, and I think now he's afraid you'll do something you'll regret.
Subtitles didn't quite match there.
Afraid?
Whatever happens to Almadria when this is all over is up to you. I'll respect whatever choice you make. Just think it over carefully for me, okay? You still have time.
Okay. Thanks, Alphen. Say, back then, after the fight, I think I really made Shion mad. I don't know, though. Maybe it just looked that way. But I guess I just can't seem to understand how she feels. Do you know why she gets like that?
Shion's... She can be a tough nut to crack. She doesn't really talk a whole lot about herself.
It's just what she said about hate being a source of strength. Where did that come from? I wonder how it feels, not being able to hold another person's hand.
Huh. Well, yeah, that one did get a whole dedicated conversation rather than the little party chat thing where Bob seems like. But yeah, I guess that's also an interesting storytelling thing with like the end there with hinting to how Shion's story is gonna play out. Where it's like, she makes a comment where it's like, oh, okay, that could be hinting at like future things, but only if you're really paying attention. But then the game lets you know what this here. Oh, that's actually important. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll keep that in mind as the story goes on in that case.
Lean much further, you'll go overboard.
I heard lean much further.
Keeping an eye out
Subtitles
for
didn't say that.
Almadria's ship?
I might be going crazy.
I'm looking at the ocean.
The ocean?
Yeah. The waves. They help me think. This world is filled with natural wonders. The icy air and white peaks of Cislodia. The lush green glades of Menancia. The harsh wastes of Calaglia. But Menancia has its Lake of Death, and Nias its ruins. And they wouldn't be there if it weren't for that contest.
Say we actually manage to put a stop to the crown contest for good. What do you think will happen between the Danans and the Renans then?
You first.
Well, I want to believe that the coexistence we saw in Menancia can happen elsewhere too. It's insane for all of us to keep fighting. If Menancia can do it, so can everyone else.
Yeah, I think that would be good too. A world where everyone can get along. At least, that's what I've come to believe.
You sure have changed.
I can't lie to you. Since I was young, I've looked down on the Danans too. But I've seen a lot. And I see things differently now. I've seen so many ugly and terrible things in this world. And yet, they didn't come from just the Danans. And the good things too. They didn't come from just the Renans. Kindness and cruelty exist on both sides. A person's race doesn't factor into it. So, I guess you're right after all, Alphen. I have changed. You know, I've never actually touched another person like this.
Shion.
Ever since I was on Lenegis.
I've always been alone. Even after I came to Dana. Always.
And now?
Do you still not remember your past?
No. Sometimes it feels like I can almost remember. But then this mask stops me.
The mask keeps you from remembering why you have the mask in the first place. It's a little ironic, isn't it?
A little. Well, it won't be long now before you're rid of those thorns, you know? Only 2 lords remain. And once you have their master course, you'll be able to create the Renis Alma, right? Then you can... Shion?
Sorry, it's nothing. Promise. You're right, though. It'll all be over soon. I never could have made it this far on my own. I have everyone to thank for that. Including... especially you, Alphen.
Don't worry about it. We're friends, after all.
Yeah, we are.
This music comes back immediately. Anyway, I guess they finally figured things out. To an extent, at least. Like, I'm sure things will be figured out more in ways that clearly been alluded to. But, that ship had better start. Had a better head start than I first thought. If you want to take a nap before things pop off, now is the time. Golly, I'm sure hungry. I could eat an Octorok. I can't stop imagining this guy as Zelda CDI Link because he was so bored around here. He just came along with us, you know?